What's going on, everybody? Voidlego here, back with a brand new episode of Chaos Head Noah. Last time we were on, we went along with Takayumi with Yua on a nice little date in order to buy an anime figure of Saratan, if I remember that's her name or whatever. And as usual, Takayumi is still doubting himself, still doubting her actual intentions, and even after school, they went on a nice little walk in the park and sat at Takayumi's favorite bench, in which there was a delusion choice, in which I chose good delusion that time, since I thought it was going to be just another erotic scene, just like we saw earlier on. But it became something much more different. As Takumi was looking at Yua's bag, it fell over and it spilled the contents of it, which was a bunch of research on the New Gen murders. At this point, Yua kind of broke character and finally revealed her quote-unquote true motivations for being with Takayumi, in which she is investigating the New Gen murders, and she suspects that Takayumi is someone behind it, as she pulls up chat logs between Takayumi and Shogun that she found in At Cafe, and it showcased that Shogun's messages came a day later than Takayumi's messages, even though they were talking at the exact same time, implying, or at least what Yua theorizes, to be that Takayumi is the same person as Shogun. And it also, in that same chat log was all the different PNGs of the guy suspended in, not suspended, pinned against the wall with a million crosses on him. And she suggests to Takayumi that he has some sort of precognition power. We then go to a flashback when Takayumi was still a young boy, in which he was not allowed to go on a field trip, and he was so mad about it, he hated every single person, including his parents, including his classmates, that later on in the day, the bus crashed, with one of the teachers actually dying, which could mean that, does Takayumi have some precognition powers, or is it just pure coincidence at all? A comment I want to address from last episode is somebody, saying that, like, this is why the delusion triggers are such an interesting mechanic, in which last time I couldn't tell if that whole thing with Yua was because of the delusion I triggered. Even though it was supposed to be a positive delusion, it turned into that. So I'm so curious, in the aftermath of that, did that actually really happen? Or if it actually didn't happen, will Takayumi still acknowledge that? Because Takayumi is a very mentally unstable person. He's not the most reliable narrator. So it's like, it is a coin flip of, do I believe the scene we saw with Yua? Is Yua actually investigating the New Gen murders? Suspects Takayumi of being behind it. Is she actually, looking into him and all of this, confirming all of his worst nightmares? Or was it simply a delusion? Was it simply just something he made up in his own mind, since, as we've seen before, his delusions are so vivid to himself that he thinks it's reality? But the one thing that's taking me out of that is that he eventually snaps out of it. He eventually snaps out of that delusion. We've seen it twice before with both the positive and the negative delusions. We've seen him snap out of it, go back to reality. But with that one, we didn't see that snap back. So I'm so, I can't tell if it was real or if it wasn't, because Takayumi is an unreliable narrator. We're seeing everything from his point of view, which is an important distinction. This isn't a third-person visual novel. This is definitely a point of perspective visual novel with its narration. We're seeing everything through Takayumi's eyes. We're hearing every single one of his thoughts and all that. Well, except for the vignettes, which I need to mention, we also saw another girl who was burning all of her school work, and her mother telling her that they're moving to Tokyo. because of something. I'm still confused on what those like little vignettes we keep seeing of different girls mean. Like what the hell do those mean at all, and how do they contribute to this story? What is this story about? Like I feel like I'm still in the dark of what this story really is about. Is like I feel like one of the big focal points of this is probably new gen and what that means. But what the hell is actually going on in this game? I'm so curious about that one central question. Maybe I'll get the answer soon. Maybe I won't. Maybe it will be a kind of aimless story, or maybe we're going somewhere with this. I haven't seen it yet. But by God, it is intriguing as all hell as what is happening? What is really, really happening in this story in Akihabara, or Shibuya, I should say. But yeah, for right now, I'm going to think that whole thing with Yua is real. For right now. But I'm still so unsure about it, because it just feels so convenient for Takumi. It feels so convenient for him. But it could be real. Who knows? All we can do is keep reading, so let's get right into it. Everything felt like a lie. The world was filled with falsities. It was overflowing with malice. It was out to get me.
いつもあなたが使っているチャットルームへログインして自分で調べてみてください。私の言っていることが間違っていないってわかるはずです。それと、私が言ったことは全部本心です。これだけは信じて。
After bombarding me with her nonsensical furies, Yua had said that one last thing before she left. There was no way I could believe her. How the hell was I supposed to believe someone that had been lying to me this entire time? I refused to believe that everything there was me, like Yua had said. Everything she said about me being Shogun was a total joke. I wanted to believe that. But when I checked the timestamps in the chat log, there was no mistaking that the conversation wasn't matching up.
僕は無遊病なの?
Sleepwalking. Problem was, during the time Shogun appeared to be posting in chat, I hadn't been sleeping at all. If I recalled correctly, I had indeed been at a cafe at the time, but I hadn't slept, so I couldn't have been sleepwalking. In that case, I wonder why I didn't have any memories of posting as Shogun. Maybe my body had been being controlled by someone else, which would mean... No, that's ridiculous. I felt that the best way to calm myself down was to escape from reality into the fictional world of ESO. In ESO, everything was fake, a lie. At the end of the day, its world was just part of a video game. But in Base Ward, I could become like the godlike existence known as Nightheart. A fabrication like that, a lie like that, was something I'd readily accept. I wanted to stay there. Nobody would mind if I did, would they? Or maybe the world of ESO was actually the real world. My own reality was the fake one, just a game. In that case, Nishijou Takumi would be a fictional character, and Nightheart would be my true form.
ねえ、ナイトハルト。
I called out to the paladin standing inside the monitor. Was I controlling you, or were you controlling me? Which was it? Could you be real and I a mere avatar? What if the world I was in was just a game in and of itself? If that were true, that would solve every mystery I was struggling with. What if, just like how I was staring at that hard within my monitor, what if someone was staring at me in the exact same way? What? No. Whose eyes are those eyes? Phew. That would make them the player controlling me. If I did have someone controlling me, would it kill them to do less of a shit job? Well, I guess an avatar couldn't really complain. It would also explain how Shogun and I could be the same person, validating that theory. Come to think of it, it was kind of like what Wisselot was. Nightheart and Wisselot can possibly exist in Base Ward at the same time. That was the only one playing as them after all. Could be multiple personalities. Maybe Shogun and Nishijou Takayumi were similar and couldn't exist in the world at the same time. It was also possible that it was a bug. Speaking of bugs, countering the bizarre girl in the murder case, as well as a whole bunch of other stuff that happened, could have been bugs too. The image Shogun had sent to me flashed through my mind. I gripped my head with my hands and frantically shook it away. I wanted to run away from everything. If maybe, just maybe, there was a player controlling me. Please, reset me already. Just remake my character and start from scratch. Please. Jeez. The waiting room of the university hospital was filled to the brim with middle-aged people waiting to be examined. The view hadn't changed from a few years prior, almost made me feel as if time itself had stopped there. Moreover, everyone there looked miserable, and the smell of disinfectant pervaded the stagnant air. It was the kind of place that sucked all the life out of you and made you wish for the sweet embrace of death in 5 minutes tops. I didn't like hospitals. The way the lobbies had countless people, yet the corridors beyond felt completely devoid of them, had always freaked me out ever since I was a little kid. It almost felt like the corridors themselves absorbed and stewed in the stench of death. I always felt like that was what a hospital truly represented beyond its outer facade. I even thought that some horrifying creatures lying in wait deep within the corridors. That was why I really didn't want to go there. But it was something I had to make sure of no matter what, so I found myself reluctantly waiting my turn in line for an examination. Even when I tried to fully immerse myself in the ASO, the bombshell that Yoa had dropped on me continued to swirl around and around inside my head, and I hadn't been able to concentrate for even a second. As a result, my mind had been torturing me with all the various possibilities all the way until morning, and I became genuinely scared that something was wrong with me. That was why I went to the hospital, to get an official stamp of approval from a medical professional that said Nishijou Takayumi is completely normal. I wanted to prove that it wasn't me who was abnormal, or normal, but Yua. I was used to coming to the hospital's psych ward, and yet when the girl at the receptionist asked, "Is this your first time?" I nodded without thinking. Ever since that bus accident, my mother had regularly taken me here for checkups. During middle school, my physician said that I had completely recovered, and I stopped going after that. This was my first time coming back in about 4.5 years. Huh. Oh. Huh. My first physician had been some senile professor who was supposed to have some authority in the field, but I'd only seen him a few times, and after that, someone else had taken over. The student of his or something. Ooh, so I get to shape how he remembers this, eh? Let's save over those, shall we? I always want to save, like, all the important stuff. I should probably save over that as well. Oh, well. Let's go with... We went with good last time. I feel like we should go with bad this time and just see what happens. But now I feel kind of bad. Because, that whole discussion of, like, well, if someone's going to join me, like, reset me already. Now I feel kind of fucked up doing this, but, like, I'm curious to see how the bad delusion is. Alright, let's see how he views this in a bad light. Although, despite calling himself the other guy's student, he hadn't been particularly young. To be honest, he looked pretty old. The night before, I was reminded of something that Dr. Takashina had said.
ここは病気や怪我だけじゃなくて心にも効く病院なんだよ。
Mental ones. I hated hospitals, but that doctor had been very nice. He left a good impression on me, and I thought he was a good person. Well, even then, I still thoroughly fooled all of the adults to the very end. That is, except Dr. Takashina. He'd seen through it all, and he was the one that declared me completely recovered.
あの人に調べてもらえれば。
I wondered what he said if he learned that I'd become an otaku freak. Nah, there's no way he'd remember me after all this time. Ooh. It didn't take long for me to be called into the examination room. I expected to be waiting there for quite a while, but I guess I was wrong. Why had there been so many people in the lobby then? Maybe they were being paid to sit there just to make it look busy. It was a different examination room than the one from 4 years ago, but when I stepped inside, I was welcomed with a face I remembered dearly.
Yeah, Nishijou-kun.
Dr. Takashina looked at me with a beaming smile. He hadn't changed a bit after 4 years, feeling relieved everything I was thinking spilled out all at once.
先生、助けて。
どうしたんだい？
変な女が僕にストーカー行為を。このままじゃ学校にも行けないし、家にも一度来られて場所知られてるから安心できないし。
Jesus.
落ち着いて。
落ち着いてなんていられないよ。あの女異常だ。僕は正常なんだ。それに岩だけじゃない。悪魔女だって。そうだ、悪魔女が真犯人なんだ。
真犯人？
ニュージェネの犯人だよ。間違いないんだ。僕は事件現場で死体を貼り付けにしてる最中のあの女を見たんだ。
大丈夫だ。何も心配いらないから。とにかく落ち着こう。いいね。
Having been admonished by him, I stopped talking. I didn't understand how he knew everything would be alright, but he was a professional. That's a match of Dr. Takashina, so I guess he must be right. That was what I told myself. My breathing was ragged, likely thanks to getting so worked up. I took a deep breath. Dr. Takashina stared fixedly at me. What concerned me, however, was that the look on his face was pretty serious.
本当に大丈夫なの？
もちろんだよ。
あんな危ない女が僕を、狙ってるのに、なんでそう言い切れるの？
理由を知りたいかい？
When I nodded, he lightly shrugged his shoulders. He spun the pen in his hand around his fingers, likely out of habit.
なぜなら、君の言っている女の人はこの世には存在しないからだよ。
でも
君は自分の妄想に怯えているだけなんだ。
Oh shit. His tone of voice was so gentle, it was eerie. I started trembling all over, I couldn't stop it. Why was this happening? Even though Dr. Takashina was being so nice, he...
西条君、君はその女の人には会っていない。わかるね？
わからないよ。
じゃあ、もっと具体的に言おうか。君はその女の人には会えるはずがないんだ。もう7年間も君はこの病院から
What?
一歩も外に出ていないんだからね。
Oh yeah, this is a delusion. What the fuck? Huh? What the hell was he?
君はこの病院の精神科に7年間入院している。そのことはわかるだろう？
Aware of... What the hell was he talking about? How could he casually spot out such insane bullshit with a smile on his face? I inadvertently glanced down at the clothes I was wearing. When I come to the hospital, I was wearing a denim long-sleeve shirt on top of a blood-tuned t-shirt, along with the only pair of jeans I had. That was the outfit I should have been wearing. But for some reason, I was now wearing a hospital gown. A one-piece, colored a pale yellowish green, a simple piece of clothing tied together with a cord that hung in the front. I wasn't even wearing shorts down below. When I had changed clothes.
ここは閉鎖病棟だからお見舞いの人も来ない。入院患者さんも男女で別フロアに分けられていて行き来はできない。
Whoa.
精神科の看護師は全員男だし、君の病室は完全に個室。まだもだ。つまり君は7年間女性と接触したことがないんだ。君の家族も含めてね。
Damn.
思い出したかな。
He was lying. He had to be. I hadn't been hospitalized at all. I was living on my own in Shibuya. I was a pretty well-known high-level player in the ESO, and I even went to school. Sure, I only went in accordance with my minimum attendance chart, but that was still 2 to 3 times a week. I'd even just had a fairly professional cordial chat with the nurse at the reception desk. Is this your first time here? Yes, it is. All right, then please fill out this form as you wait.
嘘に決まってる。
本当にそう思うのかい？
As he murmured that, Dr. Takashima scribbled something on the medical form he was holding. I couldn't tell what he was writing. It wasn't Japanese. Was it English? No. German?
だとしたら君の精神はまだ異常だっていうことだよ。
Oh yeah, German. That's right. I think I learned this in Higurashi that doctors write in German for some reason, like in order for like patients not to read it. Is that right? Because I feel like I saw the exact same thing in Higurashi with that whole writing shit down in German.
もうしばらくは入院が必要だね。
He gave me a single fleeting glance. His eyes were full of pity, even though he'd never looked at me in such a way before. I collapsed my knees helplessly. Tears poured from my eyes. Oh, I see. It all makes sense now. All of my memories up until now had just been delusions. It was me all along. I was the crazy one. What a cool twist that was. Then again, it wasn't like I cared anymore. Even if they were delusions, they weren't fond memories anyway. And I mean, I could just make new ones, right? This time, a world without scary murders happening around me would be nice. I'd have a sociable personality, get good grades, and have some crazy talent. I'd be super popular with the ladies. My friends would all be hotties, as hot as the hottest swimsuit models. And what's more, everyone would love the ever-loving shit out of me. Then I proposed that we should all start living under the same roof, and after that my new life would begin. It wouldn't be easy, and it would have its ups and downs, but it'd be fun. There'd even be a bit of slapstick fun in there. I forced myself to laugh. My face twitched. I wanted to die. I abruptly came to my senses, only to find myself sitting on the sofa in the lobby. Nasty sweat covered my entire body. Chill ran down my spine. Unable to grasp what exactly was going on, I frantically looked around the room. Beside me was a hunched-over old lady. Her eyes were covered in wrinkles, so I couldn't tell whether she was asleep or awake. I took a look at the clock above the reception desk, and I saw that I had been waiting in the lobby for a full hour. Had that all just been a dream? I hadn't slept last night, so had I dozed off while waiting? I gave a deep sigh of relief. Been a bad dream. It had been a dream, right? Whew. I tried remembering everything that happened up until the day before. Nothing seemed out of place. My memories were continuous and consistent. I encountered the demon girl at the scene of the crime, and then I got deceived and subsequently frightened by Yua. Then I got to the hospital to prove that I was a perfectly sound mind. Yep, everything added up. I wouldn't mind if it all ended up being a delusion, though. That way, creating another new delusional world that I could go nuts in would have been much, much better. The fact that I was even thinking that just went to show how utterly sick I was with everything that had been happening in my life recently. Yeah, shows something. In the end, I found myself waiting for another 2 hours before my name was finally called. When I entered the examination room, it almost felt like the same events I'd seen in that dream were happening again. Dr. Takashina even appeared almost exactly like he had in the dream. Yeah, it was probably just that he barely changed since the last time I saw him 4 years ago.
今日はどうしました？
At least he's not up in our fucking face this time. Dr. Takashina didn't say anything ridiculous like your memories are delusions this time, but
日常です。
ん？ああ、これはご丁寧に。高階です。はじめまして。
He bowed his head cheerfully. I was lost for words. It's a pleasure to meet you. Didn't remember you. That was what he just said. He'd completely forgotten me. I shouldn't be surprised. It's been 4 years after all. But I truly believe that Dr. Takashina, of all people, would remember me. Well, maybe that was arrogant, but I'd hope for it all the same. So my heart was overwhelmed with loneliness and emptiness when those expectations were smashed to pieces. Felt like my very existence was being denied. Dr. Takashina started talking to me while making eye contact, but I averted my eyes.
無遊病かどうか調べてほしいと書いてあるが、何かあったのかな？
Right, I ruined that on the questionnaire, but it was all meaningless now. He didn't remember me at all.
別にいいじ
Oh
ゃん。
no.
先生が覚えてようが覚えてなかろうが関係ないっしょ。最初の目的を忘れちゃダメ。
Still can't get over that her nipples are just going straight for her, I guess, blouse. Sure is cold in there. Alright. I didn't come here to meet Dr. Takashina. I'd come here to prove that I was a completely healthy and sane human being. Or a reunion was merely a bonus. Who gives a shit if you've forgotten me? If Sarah Town hadn't stepped in and given me that advice, I would have come dangerously close to losing sight of myself. Phew. Truly the thoughts of a completely sane, normal human being.
自分でも知らないうちに外に出かけててパソコンで文章打っててそれを全く覚えてないなんてありえますか？
おお。
知り合いからそう指摘されて混乱しちゃって。
その知り合いの人が冗談を言っているっていう可能性はあると思うかい？
Yua's eyes had been serious, and one hadn't looked at all like she was messing with me. At the very least, I had no doubt that Yua believed what she said.
わかりません。
なるほど。ちなみにその知り合いとはどういう関係だろう？恋人？
Where the hell had that come from? What did it have to do with anything? Was I missing something here?
いや、言い方が悪かったかな。じゃあ言い直そう。その知り合いの人は君が意識もないまま歩き回っているのを実際に目撃したのかな？
Oh, so that's what he meant. I shook my head.
じゃあ証拠はないわけだ。
I once again shook my head.
そいつ探偵気取りっていろいろ証拠を突きつけてきて。
そういうことか。ちなみにこれまでにも無遊病の兆候はあったかい？
いえ。
朝目覚めたらいつものベッドじゃなくて違う場所で寝てたっていうことは過去に一度でもあった？
いえ。
じゃあその知り合いに言われたのが初めてっていうことだね。
Also, what is with these visual novels and having doctors in them? I know I've only played like 2 different ones, but I guess doctors are kind of scary, huh? After nodding weakly, I steeled myself and spoke.
僕寝てないんです。
When eventually it's going to get to a point where I'm going to have to do like a doctor tier list. Like, let's see, Nanjo's S, Irie is like A.
もしかして怖いのかな。でもそんなに深刻になる必要はないよ。
いや、その。
That's not what I meant. But I couldn't figure out how to explain it, and it was too late to say it out loud anymore. I was too flustered. After scribbling something on a medical forum, Dr. Takashina swerved away from me in his chair and leaned forward towards the back of the examination room.
葉月くん、ちょっと。
はい。
Four Eyes fan made Hazuki wear glasses. Okay. Weird achievement. The young nurse rushed over to him, and Dr. Takashina showed her the form. As he did so, he whispered for her to do something, and she quickly withdrew to the back of the room. What had that been about? What was that achievement about? The doctor turned back towards my puzzled self. Then, in a gentle voice, he began to explain to me how sleepwalking worked. When a person falls asleep, they first begin non-REM sleep before eventually progressing to REM sleep. Non-REM sleep is a deeper sleep where the brain hibernates and brain activity ceases. Meanwhile, REM sleep is a kind of sleep where the body is resting, but the brain is active in a state that's fairly close to being awake.
無遊病はノンレム睡眠の時に起きやすいって言われてる。脳が通常の活動をしていないから、普通の受け答えとかは成立しにくいけど、ちゃんと返事もするし、階段などを踏み外さずに上り下りすることだってできる。原因としては、精神的なストレスを抱えてる時になりやすいんだ。子供に多い症状だけど、成人でもよくある症状なんだよ。これでわかっただろ？深刻になることはないって言った意味が。
I don't know if sleepwalking occurs, typing out stuff, linking images in a chat room to yourself, so, But I hadn't been sleeping. Or though I hadn't been sleeping, I'd still done things I didn't remember. The time Shogun had been posting from room 37 in the chat room should have been when I was busy playing ESO. Could sleepwalking really be possible there? I wanted to ask him that, but he was already moving on to a different topic.
無遊病かどうかを調べる方法としてはいくつかある。一番手っ取り早いのはここのベッドで寝てもらうことだね。ただ特定条件じゃないと発生しない場合もあるかもしれない。例えば自分のベッドじゃないとダメとか。意識がない状態で出歩くにしても目的もなくふらふらと歩き続けるのか。それとも何らかの脅迫観念があってそれに影響されて何らかの一連の目的を持って出歩いているのか。それに君の精神状態についても特定の条件下じゃないとダメかもしれない。自宅のベッドの上ならリラックスできるけど、ここじゃリラックスのしようがないわけだ。
Yeah, it's definitely one you can regard with Takumi's mental state.
どうする？とりあえず寝ていってみるかい？
Also, the more and more I get into this game, the more and more chaos that really makes a lot of sense. This guy's head is fucking pure chaos. I had nothing to lose, so I didn't see a reason not to try. Then, after I proved I wasn't sleepwalking, I could try asking the real question I had in mind. The nurse from before, Hazuki-san or something, guided me over to the hospital bed located at the back of the room. As it wasn't a bed meant for sleeping, it was firm and uncomfortable. Then again, considering the sofa I usually slept on, that shouldn't pose any problems for me.
3時間くらいしたら起こしに行きますから。
This nurse was pretty damn cute. As I lied on the bed, I took a quick peek at her face while being careful to avoid eye contact. Her baby face made her look kind of unreliable, and she even had this almost despondent aura about her, but she was doing her job pretty well. She felt like a heroine right out of a classic eroge, one with kinky hospital sex.
できるだけ目は離さないようにしていますので、安心して眠ってくださいね。
Basically, if sometimes a sleepwalking occurred, like I started wandering around on my own, she'd make sure to take care of me.
それではごゆっくり。
After giving a slight smile, the nurse closed the curtain and left the hospital room. Now surrounded by a pure white curtain, I took a deep breath. All around me, I could hear the voices of doctors examining patients, the sound of nurses running around, and the sound of the door to the examination room opening and closing. Yeah, I doubted I'd be able to relax here. Can I actually fall asleep like this? Let's find out. Figuring I had nothing to lose, I closed my eyes. No matter what I did, my mind refused to think of anything other than that corpse that had been massacred and crucified with stakes, as well as the gory picture Shogun had sent me. So I forcibly conjured Seraton into my head. Oh, ha 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 ha.
タッキー、外出嫌いなのに病院来るなんてすごい。
I have to follow my own rules. I went with bad, so I have to go with good with this one. And oh boy, let's find out what the hell this is gonna be, huh? Oh boy, here we go. Is this the closest one I'm ever going to get to reading a Woge? Well, shit, I'm gonna eventually read Fate's Day Night, so I mean that's just an actual Woge, so.
私前から思ってたんだけどさ、タッキーって実はすごく強い男の子だよね。
Sarah animatedly moved about in my delusion. Her cute voice chirped for me.
私、そんなタッキーの強さが好き。それにタッキーは無遊病なんかじゃないよ。私、毎日タッキーのこと見てるもん。だからわかるさ。三次元女になんか騙されちゃダメだぞ。タッキーには私がいるっしょ。
Oh boy, I'm fucking up Takumi's mental state, aren't I? Oh well.
またあのコンテナハウスで二人きりで過ごそうね。ボケなす。
Seraton, you're so cute, Seraton. She really was my ideal waifu. There wasn't a single woman better than her. 3D? The fuck was that? I want to go home already. I want to go home and have Seraton welcome me back with a smile. Wait for me, okay, Seraton? I'll be coming home soon. Here we go.
帰らなくてもいいよ。
どういうこと？
迎えに来たから。
An incredibly realistic whisper reached my ears. It felt almost like something was poking my cheek. I slowly opened my eyes. What the hell?
おはよう、ボケなす。
Beside the bed stood Seraton pre-transformation. Pre-transformation. I'm gonna go out as Sarah version. And she certainly wasn't at 1/8 scale. She was life-sized, and she was moving smoothly. With a gulp, I sat up and reached out to try and poke Seraton's breast. They were squishy, voluptuous. She's no figure. She's the real deal. Seraton has joined the realm of 3D.
のんのん、ここは二次元だよ。
Wait, it is? Even though they're so squishy?
二次元的にプニプニなんさ。
2D. I didn't get what she meant, but as long as they were squishy, it wasn't like anything else mattered. I realized I touched her breast out of sheer surprise, and I awkwardly grew embarrassed. The life-size Serotan was insanely cute, so no way I could die. Most important of all, she was real. Thanks to that, the bashfulness that came from me touching her breast and the fear of her potentially hating me for it had become much stronger.
ごめんセーラタン。
タッキーならいいよ。
本当？
他の人にはこんなことされるのは嫌だけどさ。特に進むとか、あいつに胸触られたら金棒で月までぶっ飛ばしちゃってる。静かに。声出すと看護師さんたちに見つかっちゃうっしょ。
Oh boy. Serotan must have been mindful of the world outside the curtain. Without making a sound, she then took off her shoes, climbed onto the bed, and then on top of me. Oh boy. Almost saying something out loud again, I hurriedly covered my mouth. Serotan was straddling me. Her bare panties underneath her skirt were pressing against my crotch. That was bad. My Johnson was about to go berserk. Oh boy. Serotan drew her face closer to mine. A sweet aroma filtered into my nose, so that was how Serotan smelled.
ねえねえ、タッキー。タッキーも二次元になっちゃうべきだよ。
Oh boy. But what's that supposed to mean?
タッキーはまだ三次元なんさ。だから私が二次元にしてあげる。いいっしょ。
2D. What the hell is that going to tell? Can you really do that?
できるよ。それにすっごく気持ちいいよ。
I could hear the sound of nurses hurriedly walking about, as well as the voices of doctors examining other patients. We were in a place separated only by a single curtain. If that curtain were opened, we'd get found out for sure. That heart-pounding thought, combined with the taboo nature of doing something like this in a hospital, I was getting lightheaded. And to think I was committing such obscene acts with my #1 waifu. Ah, so this is what bliss is. All other thoughts had been pushed out of my mind, and so in response to everything Serotan said, I nodded.
そうこなくっちゃ。そんなタッキーが好き。
Then Serotan firmly pressed her lips against mine. She was so soft. Was this the softness of 2D? Was it more soft than the real thing? This sudden borderline H scene turned my thoughts into pure spaghetti. I had no idea what the hell I should be doing. Then, in the face of my bewilderment, Serotan pushed her tongue between my lips, roaching upon my mouth. It felt so good, I started to feel dizzy. To think a kiss would feel this amazing. Ah, I wanted her seductive, swirling tongue to violate my mouth forever. My arms wrapped around her waist. She was very thin since she was 2D and all, flat as a board and yet squishy and voluptuous at the same time. Wasn't this basically the same as kissing paper though? But it felt so incredibly good that I didn't care. Same as kissing paper. Serotan was Serotan was terror sexy. Ay, man. Serotan sucked in my tongue. It was too much. It felt like I was going to die. It was starting to get painful now. Serotan's suction was finally strong. I tried pulling my tongue back, but I couldn't. She just sucked it in even more. Oh, Jesus. Too much sucking, too much sucking, too much sucking! She was pulling on it hard, so hard that it felt like it might rip off. Oh, and it wasn't just my tongue. The inside of my throat felt hot. My eyes felt like they were going to pop out of their sockets. I couldn't breathe, my chest hurt. The inside of my stomach churned and churned, turning into a pulpy, sopping mess. I was being sucked in. Everything inside my body, my organs, my flesh, my bones, they were all being sucked in by Serotan. Ooh, I could feel my pounding heart rising up from my throat, the thick blood vessels tearing off one by one. It was an impossible sensation. Ooh, it was incomprehensibly painful, and yet it felt even more pleasurable. My entire body had become an erogenous zone. Yes, my entire body. Not just the outside. But the inside of my throat, my heart, my blood vessels, my lungs, my intestines. Having Serotan violate the inside of my body, suck it all in and devour it whole. It made me so happy. And that happiness and the sheer ecstasy I was feeling, it made me feel faint. I'm going to die. It feels so good that I'm going to die. God damn. Holy shit. After everything inside my body had been sucked out, Serotan pulled her lips away, satisfied. Her mouth was dripping with a mix of blood and drool.
タッキーのすごく美味しかった。
Like a fucking vampire. She gave a bewitching smile. I didn't have the energy to respond. She had taken everything I had. It was the first time I'd ever experienced such overwhelming pleasure. I was in a total haze, fog enshrouded my consciousness. My thoughts were a blur.
ほら、タッキー、自分の体見てみて。
Now it's 2D.
タッキーもこれで二次元の住人だよ。
Although I was very unsteady, I tried to get off the bed and stand out. My body had become thin, just like Serotan's. It was kind of hard to walk around. My body felt limp and I could hardly stand. I fell to my hands and knees hitting the floor without a sound. Serotan, I can't get up. Give me a hand here. Her voice came from above the bed.
二次元へようこそ。
It really goes to show you that even with the positive delusions, there's still that disturbing nature to them. Of, Takumi getting sucked, his body being sucked away from the 3D reality to 2D. Even in his greatest fantasies, he wants to be transported to a different reality. Not this one, something better, something he could escape to. Like, this game definitely deals with escapism. That's definitely one of the themes, and it's a pretty fucking major one. Of escaping to something else, something better than this real world. Who gives a shit about 3D women? It's only 2D women, that Takumi cares about. Because he's been hurt by, just not going outside and assumptions about reality itself. He is a total shut-in by every account. Then it really goes to show you that even with the positive... Wait, that's the positive delusion. What the hell would have been the negative delusion? That's what I question. That's what I like about this mechanic, is we see this delusion, and I always wonder about the other. Like, what the hell could have the other entailed in that scenario? Even though the positive one was pretty damn disturbing. It was, good for him at first, but then it turned into Sarah quite literally, sucking out all of his organs and him becoming 2D. Too weak to even get up. It really, I really like these delusions. They are, it really does give us such great insight into the mental state of him without just explicitly stating it. Even though it has been stating his thoughts, these are a great way to showcase what Takumi like wants to be at. You know, the positive or the bad. You know, like what is his worst and best, like his worst nightmares and his best dreams is the best way to put it. I really enjoy that a lot. I spring up, only to find myself in the bed like before. My heart was pounding like crazy. My heart was still inside my chest where it should be. I touched every part of my body. It wasn't paper thin. I was still 3D. I couldn't see serotonin anywhere. As it should be.
夢か
But was that a good thing or a bad thing? Well, I let out a sigh. That scene was just like the one of the dojin I bought from Circle Purple. In other words, I had a delusion using it as a basis. Why hadn't I noticed that in my dream? Well, I knew that it was a dream because I hadn't noticed, but I couldn't help thinking that regardless.
西条さん
A voice called to me from the other side of the curtain. The curtain quickly opened in the nursery before Hazuki-san popped her head inside the room.
おはようございます
I bowed my head solemnly, keeping my eyes low.
結局3時間ぐっすりでしたね
Oh, that's nice. Huh? Had I really slept for 3 whole hours? I'd been so lost in my dream that I completely lost all sense of time. Then again, I was pretty exhausted.
少しうなされていたみたいですけど大丈夫
Ooh. Naturally, I couldn't mention my borderline red dream straight to her. Borderline? More like Helsing type red dream? Mixed pain with pleasure. Ah, damn, I need to watch the Helsing series. Admitting to my maxed out libido stat would be pretty embarrassing.
でも無遊病の症状は結局出ませんでしたよ
Hazuzuki-san's reassuring voice conveyed that to me.
まあ今日はたまたま症状が出なかっただけかもしれないから無遊病でないっていう断定はできないですけど
No, I really don't think I'm a sleepwalker, so... More importantly, I had to ask the doctor that really important question. But I couldn't see him anywhere. As I looked around, Hazuki-san handed me a blank form. Not really focusing all that hard, I took it from her and ran my eyes over it. It was a fill-in-the-blank style form.
それはあなたの心理状態を把握するためのチェックシートです
Oh.
心理テストのようなものねそれを書いてくれたら今日はもう帰っていいって先生が
Psychological test, eh?
先生は
ごめんなさいずっと診察が続いてて来週まで様子を見てまだ改善が見られないようならもう一度来てくださいって
Then again, it wasn't like he was my primary physician or anything, I supposed. He'd probably just given Hazuki-san a bunch of directions to get me out of here. Well, guess that means there was pretty much no point to me coming to the hospital today. I really wanted to ask Dr. Takashina about the someone that wasn't me controlling me. Whatever it meant, it was a really chilling symptom, so I didn't want to leave without giving an answer. That being said, I didn't have the courage to demand Hazuki-san bring him back to see me, especially when she already looked so apologetic. Reluctantly, I decided to give the test a try. Guess I write by my symptoms in the back of the sheet or something. If I did that, I should be able to get another examination scheduled for next week.
チェックシートは質問に対してイエスかノーかだけを答える簡単なものですから当てはまる点があったらイエスにチェックしてくださいね
Okay.
今後の西条さんの治療に対する参考にしますからじっくり考えて答えてください
Hazuki-san went out of her way to explain the procedure for Roy. The test had some strange questions mixed in, ones you wouldn't normally expect to run into at a hospital. It really did seem like some sort of psychological test. Would they really be able to actually word something questions like these? Hazuki-san stared at me intently. She showed no signs of believing. But it wasn't like she had nothing else to do or anything. It was more like she was watching over me or something. My nervousness at being watched made it hard for me to think clearly, but I guess she was just doing her job. Either way, I knew I ought to fill out the test quickly. Actually, take it? Oh my god. Once you look at... Wow, this is a, this is an interesting one. This is an interesting... Okay. Well, let's read through them. Wait. Problem number 1. When you have business to take care of, you prefer to use emails over phone calls. Now, this is an interesting dilemma. Should I answer like I'm answering it, or like Takayumi's answering it? Or should I just do it? Okay. When you have business to take care of, you prefer to use emails over phone calls. I prefer phone calls. Ears ring every now and then. Yeah. You have felt someone's gaze and turned around before. Shit, how should I answer this? Okay, I'll answer this way it's Takayumi instead of myself. Because my ears do ring every now and then. I feel like everyone's ears does, possibly. But, felt turn around before, yes. You have seen objects that are supposedly stationary move, for instance. You have experience of premonition. Maybe. While looking at a digital clock in passing, you've seen the same numbers appear in sequence. You have already cried once this month. You can masturbate using only your imagination. Yep. When masturbating, you can visualize uninterrupted imagery. For Takumi, yeah. You can daydream without closing your eyes. Yes. The frontal view of a car sometimes looks like a face. Okay. You have a hard time going to the bathroom after watching a horror movie. You cannot handle haunted houses. When you start reading a book, you become so immersed in it that you lose track of time. You believe that other planets inhabited by human-like creatures exist. Well, yeah, personally. The personality attributed to your astrological sign matches your personality perfectly. You are prone to motion sickness. You believe there is a god. You have a strong ability to sense the supernatural. You have dreamed in clover before. You have been in a dream in which you knew you were dreaming. You have experienced memory loss. You have a hard time making eye contact with people. Yes. Merely the sight of sour food makes your mouth fill with saliva. You feel like yawning when other people do. Oh, yes. I don't know about memory loss. I mean, yeah, I guess I'll just fill it out like... Dreamed in color before? Absolutely, yeah. You believe there is a god, you are prone to motion sickness? Nah. I just personality becomes so immersed, you cannot handle haunted houses. You have a hard time going to the bathroom after watching a horror movie? Nah. Frontal view of a car sometimes looks like a face. I mean, yeah, it depends on the car. You must be using only imagination. Actually, I'm so curious. But no. I want to answer this as Takayumi. I kind of want to do it as, like, myself, in which case it would be this, definitely not this, not this either. This one, yeah, I would check the, when you start reading a book, you become so immersed in it that you lose track of time. I mean, depends on the book, really. I mean, I've been reading Dune, Children of Dune specifically. Yeah, I can sometimes lose track of time. Motion sickness, nah. Sense of supernatural, nah. I've read color before, definitely. I have not experienced memory loss. Definitely haven't done that. Yeah, did all that, okay. So, what? Man, this is a lot of questions. I'm so curious about this. I'm so curious. Ooh, my God. I wonder, Okay. Well, let's do that, okay?
はい、お疲れ様でした。
The Suzuki-san thanked me as I answered the final question, despite the fact that I hadn't said anything. I felt pretty embarrassed at being watched the whole time. My face was probably bright red. Because of that, I avoided looking at Hazuki-san when I handed her the test. There had been no time to write my symptoms on the back.
それでは待合室でお待ちください。お薬が出てますから。
Medication?
薬
They were prescribing me something? Dr. Takashina never said anything about that.
ええ、先生の指示で。弱い精神安定剤です。ぐっすり眠れるようになるし、副作用などもありませんよ。
Ah, some melatonin, huh? Oh, wow, thoughtful as ever, Dr. Takashina. Yet when I realized I would have to wait in that lobby again, my mood was immediately sent spiraling. Power lines. By the time I got back to Shibuya, it was already evening. The hospital was technically Shibuya Ward, but since Yogi was the closest station to it, commuting via train was the fastest. But the Yamanote line had been crowded as ever. Despite only being 2 stops long, the trip back still made me incredibly tired. Riding the train any farther would have been a pain in the ass, so I decided to get off at Shibuya Station and make my way back to base from there. Even then, there were still tons of people outside the station. Despised crowds, they made my head spin. Not wanting to stay much longer, I tried to speed walk out of the scrambled crossing. But even walking straight was nigh impossible. Stumbling even slightly caused people from both behind and in front to bump into me. What's more, a bunch of people handing out pocket tissue packs blocked the way, practically forcing anyone who passed by to take them. Fed up with everything, I ignored the first person handing them out, but took some off the second because I wish she was a cute grill. I was so sick and tired of these people handing out tissue packs and shit to push their products. Didn't they have anything better to do than stand right in the middle of the road? Well, whatever, it was free, so I might as well take it. So the tissue pack I took was a red flyer. There was a paragraph where those shit written on top of it with white ink. Talk about ostentatious. Like, holy shit. You can exactly miss something with that color scheme. As I walked along, I gave it a quick skim. Huh. Type B blood is in short supply. Currently, Shibuya Ward is suffering from severely short supply of Type B blood. This has only continued to worsen. We've been struggling to secure the proper quantity of blood for those in need of transfusions, and the worst case, blah, blah, blah. Also, is this like a real photo? Like, this is way too realistic. Like, what? No, this is a real photo. Look at this shit. This ain't a CG. It looks way too fucking good to be a fucking CG. What the hell? Whoa, that's so weird to look at. It was a blood donation flyer. As I read it, I thought back to the form I filled out in the hospital. I didn't have any memory of filling out something like that 4 years ago. Maybe the way they examined patients had changed recently. Even then, there was something felt oddly familiar about the test. Deja vu. I've been getting hit by it all the time recently. Having my mind and body not function the way I wanted them to, this sense of dissonance was an incredibly uncomfortable feeling. So in order to ascertain the true cause behind the deja vu, I tried flipping back through the pages of my memories. I thought back to when Mom had taken me to the hospital about once a week, kept my mouth shut at all times, and only expressed myself via nodding or shaking my head. At first, I'd been taken to a perfectly ordinary examination room, but since I showed no signs of improvement, I started going to a different room before long. The room had essentially been a counseling room, which meant it put the patient's relaxation first and foremost. In other words, there were sofas and plushies and whatnot located all throughout the room. Dr. Takashina had taken a very patient approach at treating me, all while refusing to blame my situation on anyone. He alone caught on to how I was merely choosing not to speak rather than having the inability to do so. Meanwhile, my mom would always talk to me in an unnaturally cheery voice. Every time I'd gone to the hospital, the doctor would always welcome me with a refreshing smile. The nurses also treated me with all the love and care they could, and I had a feeling that had always been one more person in the room. What? Right. There had been a man in a black suit, one that felt fairly out of place in a hospital. A man in a black suit? As I'd been doing my best not to speak, I never asked about him. I didn't know who the hell he was the entire time he was there. He didn't feel like a doctor, and he only stood all alone a far distance away from everyone else, all while gazing out the window. I had dubbed him Mr. Nozumi in my head, though that wasn't his actual name or anything.
Nozomi.
The man in the suit always had a badge on his chest, no matter the situation. And on that badge was the word Nozumi. It looked like a logo to me, though, so it probably wasn't a name tag. Oh, I know why it was bothering me now. That test from before also had the Nozumi logo printed on it. Oh. I had a hunch that I'd seen it somewhere before, and now I finally remembered exactly where. It was like a huge weight had been lifted on my chest. That aside, what was Nozumi anyway? I was pretty sure it was the name of a business.
のぞみさんっていう美人女社長が設立したカウンターテロ組織とか漫画みたいだ。
Nozumi, huh? Interesting. Yeah, more secret organizations, huh? Just like Steingate with Sita. Yeah, was it Sita? It was something like Sita something. I need to watch the Steins Gate anime finally. That and Steins Gate Zero as well while playing through this game, just to, I don't know, familiarize myself. It probably has no connection to this, but you know. When I arrived on my base, I got straight to look up Nozumi online. However, there were so many results I couldn't manage to pin down anything specific. Well, let's go with a more normal theory first. That Nozumi guy could have been from the company that made the test, and he was just at the hospital in order to sell them something. The hospital had then adopted the test recently, and they decided to have me fill one out today. Nah, I doubted that. Never heard of some rando attending a patient's examination like that. So, who the hell was that Mr. Nozumi guy? Memories kept pulling at my mind, but I was fed up with it at that point. Either way, the reason behind my deja vu was now clear. I decided to ask Dr. Takashina about my memory issues next week, but until then, I was going to stay cooped up in my room without bothering with school. There was no way in hell I'd go to a school where people were trying to hurt me. In all honesty, we really didn't want to screw up the minimum attendance chart I'd so carefully constructed, but it wasn't worth getting myself killed over. I gave up on my Nozumi search and went to look for any interesting looking threads on the ad channel. News board was almost completely filled with new gen threads. Bearer, group dive, man-child, crucifixion, to be continued, shudders. Even though the ESO board had threads like what's trying to replicate new gen crimes in ESO, to be honest, I was beyond sick and tired of the whole thing. Diving back into ESO, I found Grim. Oh, cool. The ad channel news board is super fucking boring recently. They always want to shut the fuck up about new gen. Well, it is the biggest thing of note recently. Whenever a new incident like this happens, people always freak the fuck out about it. Shitstorm incarnate. Well, they still haven't caught the culprit. I mean, you and I both know the police ain't coming at all. There's a ton of idiots all over the web painting the culprit as some moe hot chick wall. Yeah. That demon girl. Tons of idiots all over the web painting the culprit as some moe hot chick. God. That seems so like when you hear it, that seems so out of like there's no way that would ever happen. But I think I watched this like a video like a long time ago that described a certain incident in Japan. It was a like middle school like girl that killed her friend using a box cutter knife, right? And a whole bunch of people on the internet drew her as like an anime girl with like a bloody box cutter knife as that. And it's such a there is that phenomenon about, I mean, it's not just like Japan. I feel it's also in America, the whole obsession with true crime. We do have an obsession with it. It was quite a bit mentioned, like it was a big focus in Yume Neko, especially in episode 8, of how true crime affects us. And how our obsession with true crime can drive us a little bit nutty over things we really shouldn't be dabbling in. Now, I myself have listened to true crime. I've watched documentaries about true crime. I've watched videos about it. That's, I feel like there's a fine line between like simple morbid curiosity about true crime and just obsession over it. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like it's fine to like learn about like serial killings and just see that, but like there are people out there that really get a little too much into it. You know what I mean? Especially with that box cutter girl and people drawing her as a damn anime girl, and that's happened with other serial killers, unfortunately. I mean, let's not dismiss the whole Jeffrey Dahmer TV show that came out on Netflix a few years ago, and how it kind of romanticized Jeffrey Dahmer. There is a real conversation to be had about our relationship with true crime, and how it affects us utterly. I can't believe I got all of that from that one thing, but it really is a problem, like a real problem to romanticize serial killings or serial killers, like just general murderers in general, like actual fucking murderers. I'm not talking about fictional ones, actual ones. It's just, it's disturbing. It's that sort of thing. You need to have, there's a fine line between just curiosity and obsession, that I feel like more people should discuss. But anyway, that's besides the point. The desolate eyes of the girl I'd seen at the crucifixion murder scene flashed through my mind, and I felt a shiver run down my spine. As much as I didn't want to remember, that ghastly memory would come back any time I let my guard down. Wait, I'd seen the culprit's face. I knew who they were. Should I report it to the police? But I didn't want to get involved. Demon girl. Is there already an offshoot of the perp like that? That might be taking it a bit too far, to be honest. Anyway, these new gen cases are seriously interesting, dude. Join the FREPA new gen community. Oh my god. You're getting way, way too into this. Everyone but you and Seaston from our guild has joined. Oh god, was he serious? Now I wouldn't be able to hop on and chat with my guild anymore. Jesus. Ugh. New gen is some weird shit, man. Gives me the chills. I knew you were into gory stuff, Grim, but... Don't tell me you're the type that looks for artistic merit in murder cases. True, the crucifixion corpse could have easily been mistaken for modern art, so it would be fair to say that was artistic in some sense. Nah, the only thing you should be seeking here is how lewd it is. It's like the ultimate form of BDSM. This guy's hopeless. I better do something quick. Get it once you weed behind your virgin there, Nightheart Tan. You roadway bastard. Are you saying you're not a virgin? You damn traitor ors. Back on topic, though. The side pulling all the info together is filled to the brim, so you really ought to take a look. I really didn't want to look. I was scared to. I wanted to escape the reality in which I witnessed the scene of the crime, so I'd been intently avoiding all info related to New Gen ever since then. I wanted to fool myself into believing that the gruesome scene I'd seen had been just a delusion, but it was basically a god in the SO, not just someone strong, but someone who knew all. Not to mention I was the guild leader. It'd go beyond embarrassing that the organizer of the group couldn't keep up with the latest topics. I had to make sure that didn't happen. Oh boy. They clicked the link to the site Grim had sent me. The top of the site had the title, All Things New Gen, when big letters read in the center of the page. The type of website was basically like a wiki. It was open to the public and anyone could enter info related to a particular topic. In the case of this New Gen site, loads of people entered info concerning New Gen and the site updated as they did. Sites like it tended to suffer from unreliable info being mixed in, as well as its fair share of vandalism from trolls, but they could still be be pretty useful if we're getting a quick overview of an incident. Many links were pasted all over the page. I promptly clicked on the link that read current timeline. My heart raced. Just reading the site was making me nervous. My palms were slick with sweat. Oof. The first incident, dubbed the group dive, was the suicide of 5 high schoolers that jumped to their deaths. Earthquake of 2 months ago. So, okay, let's take a look at these. Victim was a 56-year-old university professor, crucifixion, man-child, group dive, all crimes all being committed by different people. Witnesses claimed they heard nails hammered on crime scene, corpse affixed to a concrete wall, brutal, bizarre serial murders, 3 in total, and the earthquake of 2 months ago. That's an interesting one. It happened in the dead of night on September 7th, which was about a month ago at this point. Okay. Let's see. Okay, I can see the bottom of the earthquake of 2 months ago. 2 months ago, an earthquake with a seismic intensity of 3 occurred with Shibuya as its epicenter, and yet there were 8 fatalities. 8 fatalities, Jesus. Anyway, the building they jumped off was Cornelius Tower, which was located in Shibuya. They dove off the rooftop helipad. Of course, all 5 had died instantly. According to the autopsies, the 5 all had foreign pieces of flesh under their fingernails, along with various scratch marks on their hands. What the hell? Based on that, it was surmised that the 5 had been holding hands as they jumped for one reason or another. There was no suicide note of any form on the rooftop. A person online, one of those people acting like Snake, had actually gone to Cornelius Tower themselves and reported that the door to the roof had a sign on it saying, "No entry to unauthorized personnel," and that was locked practically 24/7. Alright, acting like Snake, I can probably guess what that means, but name of protagonist of a certain video game who's a professional and convert is often, for example, during a Snake have infiltrated the, what's girl mean? Girl. Look at all these stupid fucking tips. So many fucking ones. Certain video game series, I wonder what that is. Naturally, the door had been locked at the time of the incident, and the key was not found among the belongings of the deceased. Essentially, the rooftop helipad had effectively been a locked room. Oh, no, not another locked room. No, I've been for you, Minako. No, not again. No more fucking locked rooms, man. You can't do this to me. Son of a bitch, it's always a fucking locked room. Ugh. And the method the 5 had used to enter was completely unknown. There was a very high chance that someone other than a 5 had been present at the scene of the incident. The second incident, dubbed the man-child murder case, had occurred 12 days after the first incident, placing it on September 19th. Early in the morning, a university student on their way home from a karaoke session had discovered a Klaus man covered in blood by the Shibuya Station underpass. The victim had been a university student residing in Shibuya Ward, a 21-year-old named Konoe Chizaru. He was already dead when he was discovered, but his abdomen had an unnatural, very large swelling. According to an autopsy, someone had performed an abdominal incision on the man, stuffed a newly born fetus inside the man's stomach, then stitched it back up. Jesus Christ. That's just insane. Moreover, a DNA test confirmed that the fetus had no blood relation to the victim. The victim was a bachelor and had no relations with any women. It was only online speculation, but it was assumed that the 32-week-old fetus had been removed from its mother body via C-section. However, the mother's identity, current whereabouts, and even whether or not she was alive was completely unknown. It was possible that the police had already discovered her whereabouts, but if they had, nothing had been publicly revealed. Yeah. I averted my eyes from the monitor to keep myself from throwing up. Jesus Christ, talk about nauseating. The culprit is completely insane. And maybe, just maybe, these ghastly murders. Ooh. Had been carried out by that girl. Japan is over. I stared at Serotan in an attempt to reach my eyes, and with that I somehow managed to stabilize my mental state. Considered taking the meds the doctor had given me, but Serotan did the job nonetheless. Anyway, while that might have been necessary to maintain Neidhart's honor, reading all that gory stuff really fucking sucked. Oh shit.
そんなに辛いならさ、読まなくていいって。タッキーがド M ってんなら別に止めないけど、辛そうなタッキーは見てられないさ。もうやめよう。楽しいことだけしてようよ。いつもみたく私にハーハーしてもいいからさ。
Oh, how wonderful and caring you are, Serotan. Serotan was the only one who would stay by my side. Couldn't ask for a better waifu. I rested my chin on my hands above the table, watching Serotan smile as I took deep breaths. My soul had been healed. I might be able to get through a little more if I kept glancing at her as I read, and so I would put that into practice right away. Come to think of it, why had those two unrelated cases both been swept with a new gen label? That's what I've been fucking asking. What's the damn connection between a group suicide and a guy who got stuffed with a fucking fetus? What, I guess they were both in Shibuya, but still, you don't connect two different murder cases in New York and call it the New York murders, you know? Apparently, the group dive had initially been treated as a group suicide. But after the man-child incident occurred, people online reinvestigated it and discovered the unnatural circumstances surrounding the scene of the crime. Rumors then began to appear saying that the five may have actually been killed and that the suicide label was merely a cover-up. According to the parents and good friends of the five victims, there was no way it could have been suicide. Then, the mass media had started making connections between the two incidences, starting with where they occurred, Shibuya. Madness explodes in today's youth. The new generation madness. Sensationalist headlines like that had started popping up everywhere, to my understanding anyway. Then came the third case, the murder case I'd witnessed, dubbed the crucifixion. The site didn't have as much info in this case, likely due to it having only occurred recently. The victim, 56-year-old Oda Hibishiri, was a university professor who had been crucified with stakes to the concrete wall of a vacant house. That was all that had been publicly revealed. 56 years old, not exactly new gen. Many of the neighboring residents had claimed that for over an hour after the time the crime was thought to have occurred, around 8 p.m., they could hear the sound of nails being hammered into something. Even I heard the sound. I could hear it even now, a horrible, terrifying sound. And we'll wait a note, no connection between the third case and the group dive or the man-child had been discovered yet. But with it being the third abnormal incident to happen in quick succession in Shibuya, the crucifixion was naturally treated as another new-gen incident. The police and mass media believe that all of the crimes had different culprits, but the predominant opinion online, or rather what most of the net hoped was going on, was that the crimes either shared a single culprit or an organized group of culprits. There also were many occult-based theories whispered about online, such as that everything had begun with the earthquake from 2 months ago. 2 months ago, an earthquake with a seismic intensity of 3 occurred, with Shibuya as its epicenter. Although the scale was fairly minor, there were still 8 fatalities, which became a popular topic of discussion. Yeah, eight people dying during an earthquake of 3 it's weird. Come to think of it, it was true that the new gen cases had begun after that earthquake. Coincidence? There ain't no connections yet. Because of that, the new gen occultists argued that the 8 deaths in the earthquake should be counted as the first new gen incident, causing a dispute between them and the new gen mainstreamers. Man, it's really just like you may not go with different people arguing about what theory is correct, which is exactly like real life. Regardless, the entire situation was abnormal. After all, despite the fact that 3 brutal cases had occurred in quick succession, no clues on any of their culprits had been found. And many online were waiting eagerly for a 4th case. As disturbing as that is. If I wasn't directly connected to it all, I probably would have joined in on the chaos myself, posted in a few threads, made a few theories. I could have been waiting excitedly for the 4th incident at this very moment. Yeah, damn it. All these assholes were just having the time of their lives, weren't they? Yeah.
犯人を早く捕まえてくれよ。
Makes you think, huh? A week had passed since the crucifixion, but neither the demon girl nor the police had any moves. If they knew I'd been at the scene of the crime, they would definitely come and question me about it, but there hadn't been any signs of that actually happening. Thank God. It looked like I wasn't going to get dragged into this after all.
あなたには予知能力がありますか？
Ooh. That claim you had thrusted on me flashed into my mind.
予知能力があるって思わなきゃ納得できないような画像データをあなたが持っていたから。
Even though I'd finally started to relax, that feeling of despair came flying right back in an instant. The image sent by Shogun. The data was still on my PC. Yua's claims were no more than delusions she dreamt up. Her deductions were a total stretch, not to mention logically bankrupt. While I might have ended up not asking about it in the hospital today, the idea of me doing things where I remembered them was completely absurd, utterly impossible. I mean, nothing like that had ever happened to me before. So the gory image was obviously faked.
だったらさ、
Oh boy.
合成だって証拠を見つけちゃえばいいさ。あの画像解析しちゃおうよ。
But it's so disgusting. I really don't look at it any more than I already have.
あの女を論破しちゃえば、タッキーはもう怯えることなく平穏な生活に戻れるんだよ。やるしかないっしょ。
Of course, she was exactly right. Yua talked to me as if I were the culprit behind the crucifixion, but that wasn't true at all. I mean, I'd seen the culprit's face, as if I'd let Yua put the blame on me after that. So, with a gulp, I double-clicked in the folder where the images were cached. It really is sad that the only motivation he has is Serotonin. Not his family, nothing else, just Serotonin motivating him. Jeez. It was the first... Oh, what is this? It was the first time in 3 days that Ban Yasuji had set foot in the Shibuya police station conference room. The investigation meeting for the Miyaru Yamiocho crucifixion homicide case had already begun, and Dan was greeted with universal gazes of displeasure for his tardiness. Dan forced a polite smile before bending down to sit. He supposed that it was not quite the right time to reveal that he had been cooped up in the bathroom with diarrhea. The Mariamua Macho crucifixion homicide case had been assigned to the Shibuya police station on the morning after the incident. As they were lacking in manpower due to the Cornelius Tower mass suicide case and the Shibuya Station Underground fetus homicide case, even the third-rate assistant inspector, Ban, whom the Metropolitan Police Department's investigation division were practically begging to retire, had been called in by the main office. Moreover, as all of the incidences had occurred within the Shibuya police station's jurisdiction, it was an unusual situation in which a single jurisdictional station was utilizing 3 special investigations teams. Yeah, damn. Because of this, operations were made quite difficult, with the 3 investigation teams having access to only one large conference room that they had to alternate between. The mass media was hailing it as all one large case known as a new gen, and there were rumors that the police would combine the 3 investigation teams in order to make a new gen's investigations division, thus solving the issue of manpower. All of the detectives found this prospect completely asinine, regarding it as nothing more than an absolute joke.
警部補 君の報告を。
Band's superior, Inspector Matsugana, who was in charge of the investigation team, called out to Band with a piercing gaze. But Band did not notice this. He simply continued to cool himself down with a handheld fan as he took a moment to recuperate.
警部補。バン警部補。聞いているのか？
呼ばれてるっすよ。バンさんの報告待ちなんすから。ちょっと。
The whispers of Band's partner, a Wookiee named Suwa, finally got him to realize he was being called.
すみません。報告は諏訪から。
Oh hell yeah! I'm gonna fuck with this guy. This guy looks like the best detective ever. He looks exactly like guy looks like mix between who's that damn detective from Edgeworth Investigations? God damn it, I can't remember. No, more like mix of like Gumshoe, Date, and fucking Hank from Detroit Become Human.
自分っすか？
俺がいなくても報告しとけって言っといたろうが。早くしろ。
Man, I should make a detective tier list. I feel like I've already have, I've let's played enough games with detectives in them that I could actually make like a good 10-minute detective tier list. Like who's the best detective characters? Just like next to my doctor tier list. Suicide as his superior jabbed him in the elbow, then stood up straight and tall.
犯行現場近くの監視カメラの解析がようやく出ました。犯行時間に不審な人物が映ってました。
Oh shit. Murmurs echoed throughout the conference room. The wax atmosphere from before had been turned on its head. The other detectives began to take frantic notes in order to not miss a single word of Sua's report. Considering the situation, it was no surprise they were so frantic about it. After all, 3 horrific cases had occurred within their jurisdiction in the span of a single month, only one of which was not ruled as a homicide as of yet. Their strong determination to find culprit, even in the face of their reputations, was only natural.
プロジェクターに映像を出します。
Oh boy. As per the instructions Ban had given him in advance, Suwa had the projector display the footage on the projector screen. The projector showed an image of the confined, filthy back alley of Mario Yamaocho. It was night, and there were very few street lights present, so virtually nothing was visible.
犯行現場から約50メートル離れたところにあるコインパーキングの監視カメラです。
Oh boy. The parking lot was only big enough to fit 2 vehicles. It was a tiny plot of land interposed between 2 buildings and was constructed without any real care as well. The scene of the crime was not visible in the footage. Not even the path leading to it could be seen. All it displayed was the road that was one farther away from the crime scene. The video had no sound. The time the video had been recorded was graciously displayed on the bottom right-hand corner of the screen, 9:34 p.m.
犯行現場近隣の住民の証言により、21時過ぎから21時半頃まで釘を打ちつける音がしていたというのはご承知の通りだと思いますが、この映像は21時34分、つまりまさに犯行時間直後ということになります。不審人物が映っているのは21時34分53秒からおよそ6秒間です。駐車場の前の道を奥から手前へと走り抜けていきます。
Oh boy, who is it? Oh shit. Immediately following Sua's explanation, a silhouette appeared on the footage. They seemed to be in a great hurry and ran from the back of the screen to the front. As the resolution was quite poor, not even their gender could be ascertained at a glance, but Ban had already gotten the crime laboratory to analyze that very point.
科捜研で解析した結果、映っている人物は男。年齢は10代後半から20代とのことっす。です。人相の判別までは無理でした。服装がかなり特徴的ですが、これは小島にある私立水明学園の男子制服と分かりました。
Oh boy, that's really bad.
それと右手に注目してもらいたいんですが、
The image enlarged on the right hand of the suspicious individual appeared to be grasping something.
スローで再生するとわかるが、走りながら腕を振っている際、この握りしめている何かが駐車場の照明に反射して光を放ってるんだな、これが。
Oh, shit. The damn crucifix. Not the good part. Ban took over Sua's explanation.
形状からして、犯行に使われた十字架型の杭である可能性がある。
The detectives continue to murmur noisily. The crucifixion culprit might be a high schooler. The proposition was fairly shocking to them. After all, it meant that the new generation madness moniker that the mass media had been pushing could actually become a reality.
最も犯人に近い人物がこの少年だということか。
そういうことになりますね。
Ben stroked the stubble on his jaw. It was a habit of his. Whenever he felt one step closer to cornering a culprit, he would always reach for that satisfying scraping sensation. Of course.
以上です。
Zula took a deep breath and sat down.
ひどいっすよ先輩。美味しいところ持ってって。
Ignoring Zula's grumbling, Ben once again burned the image of that high school boy into his mind.
ようやく尻尾を出したんだ。そいつを掴んで離さねえようにしないとな。
Oh, fucking boy. Oh, boy. Already getting hunted down by the police, are we, huh? Well, let's check the cash, shall we? Sure enough, the image Shogun had sent was in my cash folder, 168491.pnjpg was its name. Obviously, a part of me was still hesitant to even look at it. I mean, it was a pretty fucking nasty image, grotesque as all hell too. I was sure just looking at it would follow me right back to the scene of the crucifixion, where that violent scene had taken place right in front of me. But even then, I needed to expose Yua's flawed logic and therefore guarantee my own safety and innocence. Thankfully, since Saratan was there for me, I could handle a little bit of gore. Mustering all of the courage I had, I double-clicked to file. Jesus. So here's the thing about this. It's not like someone taking a photo directly of the dead body. It's from from a security camera. But as we just got from that investigation, the police, the only footage they have is from a parking lot that's not even nearby the crime scene at all. That's the only footage they could get. So that means there's no possible security camera right here in this alley. So who the hell is taking this picture right here from this very distinct angle is my question. What the hell? Who took this image? And why was it before the whole incident as well? God, it was so gory. But compared to the crucifixion scene I'd seen in person, it wasn't quite as bad. Telling myself that the image had to be fake, I was just barely able to stomach it. When I first received the image, I closed it immediately after looking at it once. I hadn't inspected it thoroughly. This time, holding back the urge to vomit, I decided to examine the image in excruciating detail. I didn't know much about how to tell whether a picture was fake or not, but taking a look at the shadows, seeing if there was anything off about the surrounding area and other stuff like that should probably be enough. The only possibility I had in mind was that the photo had been taken in advance, and the crucifixion corpse had then been put on top of it using CGI. And then the day after Shogun had sent the picture to me, they executed the crime exactly as they edited in the image. Thanks to the poor resolution and how dark the image was, I could only really see the stakes, leaving the identity of the victim unclear. Light was only hitting the area surrounding the corpse, yet something about the image was just begging for me to look at the crucifixion itself. I mean, yeah, that's the angle. It begs for you to look at it. I feel like that was the intent of the person who made it. I mean, come on. Focusing that much light around the corpse was kind of overkill, don't you think? Well, it wasn't like I'd been paying close attention to the actual crime scene, so I couldn't really jump to conclusions. In the picture, the demon girl wasn't sitting in front of the crucified corpse. But when I opened my eyes wide and looked even closer, I noticed a silhouette in the dark spot on the left side of the image. Yeah, what is this? Like, I'm pointing my cursor at it, but you guys can't see it. But yeah, I see that weird thing right there. I almost completely missed it. Due to the low res of the image, the shadow of the figure that stood in blended perfectly into the surrounding scenery. You could easily miss it if you weren't paying close attention. Obviously, the image was fake, but what if the person taking the photo had accidentally left themselves in it? If they had, it was possible they forgot to edit themselves out when they tampered with the image. Well, you gotta get the brightness up now, don't you? It looked like they were wearing a sumo uniform. In that case, it had to be the demon girl. She had been wearing one at the time of the crime, after all. But when I took a closer look, I noticed that the figure's hair was actually pretty short. The demon girl had long hair like Yua. Alright then, time for some computer magic. I need the details here. I opened up some image processing software and dragged the image in. Then, with a big gulp, I selected the levels option in the adjustments menu and blinded the once darkened corners of the image. What the fuck? What the hell? No way. What the fuck? Pictured on the screen was unmistakably... How was it me? It didn't make any sense. I'd never even been there before September 29th. It was fake. It had to be fake. I couldn't find any bit of proof that it was, but it absolutely had to be. Nothing made sense otherwise. I mean, Shogun had sent the image on the 28th, and the crucifixion murder case had occurred on the 29th. If the image was of what had happened on the 29th, then that would mean it was a picture taken for the future. What the fuck? I kicked the plastic bottle at my feet and closed the paint program. I checked the file's properties to see when it was made, and then I lost all words. The timestamp was the 28th, but that was the least of my worries now. In the comment section of the properties menu was a single inconspicuous sentence. A sentence my eyes couldn't look away from. Dude, what the fuck? What the fuck? I slammed my hands on the keyboard before shoving it to the edge of my desk and clutched my head. I could barely hold back my tears. What the hell had I done to deserve a whole week of nothing but more and more insane bullshit? Why was I the only one that had to deal with this shit? Hang on a second. If they had somehow managed to get a photo of me, then they edited it into the image of the crime scene. That would either mean Shogun had taken a photo of me without my consent, or that he had somehow obtained my photo from another source. And considering how he suddenly entered the chat room and started talking to me right after Graham had left, he had likely been aiming for me and me alone from the very start. Shogun might very well have discovered my real identity. If that was true, then Shogun, that demon girl, anyone could raid my base at any moment, and then I'd be abducted. Ooh, I felt a chill in the nape of my neck. It was the gaze again. There was something there, watching me. Don't look at me. Did you really think I'd turn around? I knew the rules of the game better than anyone. I'll take more than that to make me turn around game. Fear sent goosebumps all over my body, and I felt a strong urge to check that the door was locked, but instead of doing that, I just continued to stare at my monitor, as I was way too stubborn to let myself loose. Unable to calm down, I opened up my default word processor and wrote down everything on my mind. Jesus.
きっとそうに決まってる。
Demon girl, cold-blooded murderer, has precognitive powers. Shogun, demon girl's underwing. Yua, Shogun's underwing. As I stared fearfully at the word demon, I began to wonder if the girl at the crime scene was actually a real demon. I mean, come on, she couldn't be human by any means. If she was a demon, she might actually be able to see the future, and if she could see the future, projecting a scene from the future onto the picture via psychic photography would be child's play. It would line up perfectly with how she somehow managed to carry out the gruesome crucifixion all on her own. She then gotten her underwing Shogun to send the image to me, a person who she knew would end up accidentally witnessing the crime scene. I don't know why she'd done that. Maybe it was a threat. This will be you next if you tell anyone what you saw. Or maybe it was a death sentence. You're next. And if that really was what it meant, then...
勝てるわけがない。僕は奴らにいつ殺されてもおかしくないんだ。
Now, who the hell is this? Kusunoki Yua faced the PC in her room. Her profile gravely serious. Okay, Yua. She swiftly read through the information displayed on the monitor. Before long, Yua let out a small sigh and released her hand from the mouse, glancing at a piece of paper sitting within reach of her. It was the very same paper she had put before Nishijou Takumi the day before, the printout of the chatwalk between Neidhart and Shogun.
Nishijou-kun.
Yua muttered a single name. The view of Takumi sitting in one of that Shoto Park bench appeared in her mind before she quickly shook her head, drowning out. Suddenly, she looked behind herself in surprise.
今、誰かに見られていたような。
Her gaze stopped upon a large stuffed Gregor Froggy enshrined on her bed. Wondering if it had just been her imagination, she tilted her head in puzzlement. Then she slowly rose to her feet, walked over to her bed, and fell onto it head first. The sheets smelled of the sun. It seemed that her mother had kindly dried the futon earlier today. Yua buried her face in that relieving scent, her gaze wandering about vacantly. Her room was very neat and orderly, placing her meticulous personality on full display. This especially applied to her large bookshelf, which was rather ingorgious for a room size of around 13 square meters. It was packed tightly with countless books, leaving hardly any gaps. However, charmingly, the lower half consisted of nothing but complex academic books, computer-related books, and other similar material, contrasting greatly with the upper half, which was filled with shoujo manga and anime DVDs. With another sigh, Yua turned her body face up and stared at the ceiling.
DID.
Dissociative disorder. Yeah, dissociative identity disorder. That was it. I'm sorry. I mean, guys, I get it. You don't want to, you want to change the names a bit for actual brands of real world brands. That's fine. That's, Rick Donalds and shit like that. That's funny. But did you really have to do this dirty by Wikipedia? I mean, come on. Ricky pedophilia? Come on, man. Come on. You could have... Come on, dude. Okay. I'm sorry, let me just get that on my system real quick. Didn't the encyclopedia of useless knowledge. Come on, man. Okay. Sorry. But yes, this is what I've been asking since the start of this episode. Dissociative identity disorder, yeah. She muttered the name of the mental illness she had just been researching. The explanation related to it was still displayed on her monitor.
辛いんですね。
Yua hugged the stuffed Gregor Fargi by her pillow tightly as she thought about Takayumi.
でも私
However, her expression soon vanished, replaced only by the gritting of her teeth. Well then. And I think this is a good stopping point right here, folks. We have gotten more information and the mystery just deepens. The police now know, well, they know there's a male student that was at the scene of the crime that came from Sumire Academy. They don't know it's Takayumi yet, but they're going to be asking questions. They're going to, Ban is going to get Takayumi to go into his air-conditioned car soon enough. Eventually. And Yua's thinking that it's DID, which makes the most amount of sense. And Takayumi's thinking up his own thing. I wonder, I'm so curious about this. Like, this is a general question. Are these, like, little vignettes to other perspectives? Were these present in the original version of this game, not in Noah? I'm actually very curious about that, because they seem like additions to the game. They seem kind of, like, tacked on. Like, I'm not saying, like, there are, like, bad scenes or anything like that, but it definitely does seem like they were added on in future versions of the game, not present in the original, from what it seems like. You guys can let me know down in the comments below. But yeah, it just, the mystery just deepens as to, well, who the hell is Shogun? And is it really a second personality of Takayumi? But why precognition powers? Are there powers in this universe? We don't know yet. Is there a supernatural thing in this universe? Or is there not? Is it a delusion? What is it? Yeah, goddamn. Yeah, it just like hooks me more and more as the more and more we get into it, as we explore more different perspectives, as we get a fuller picture of what the hell exactly is going on in this story. And yeah, I've still enjoying it so far. Even the delusions, especially the erotic ones, they still display a sense of unease about them, a sense of disturbingness, really, especially that serotonin 2D hospital scene. That was very disturbing. But yeah, what a I just can't wait to get more and more into this. And yeah, if you guys have enjoyed this episode, hit that subscribe button. If you liked it, hit the like button. Wait up something, put that in comments below. Check out Discord server on it, or my church. Check description below. And yeah, this has been Voidlego. I'll see you guys next time. See ya!